Well, hello, and welcome, and thank you for tuning in to another exciting edition of Un Poco Mas, the show where we give you just a little bit more. My name is Danny Deals. On behalf of Hurricane Lopez and Stock Karen, we would like to thank you for tuning in today. Guys, today I would like to play an exciting game show we like to call Explosive Growth or Explosive Diarrhea. And for this game, we'd like to talk about our most diarrhea related stock and our stock that most closely resembles diarrhea, both in management, stock price performance, debt, pretty much every other metric. Jaguar Health, ticker symbol JAGX, is a complete commode full of explosive, disgusting, smelly diarrhea. But, guys, are there any developments with the company? Basically being algo held at the same price level since the beginning of April, with a little, pump and dump to a buck here back in May. And there's been some minor pump and dumps, but basically, they're announcing that they're basically completely into their phase three trial. We expect data to come out here in a few months. But sorry guys, got a phone call there. But guys, the real question is why is the stock price so low? And it's basically because the management, Lisa, is probably the worst executive in the history of the world, in my opinion. She has put more shareholder money to sleep and made more bad financing and debt, given up basically all the equity in the company for very, very little money over and over again, all while she is paid a very generous salary that she does not earn from the shareholders. I really question her, you know, her bona fides as a fiduciary. She is just absolutely awful. I've rarely seen a company destroy so much capital to accomplish so little. Their sales, for the HIV indication of my Tezzy continue to plummet. It's just, the company is just absolute garbage. Their revenues were from 3 to 2. Um, I still believe there is hope for this drug. I mean, it covers a huge unmet need, but this company went public many, many years too early. Their road to FDA approval has been long and fraught with problems. And people might wonder, why is Jaguar Health in so much trouble? Like, why do these companies get into these death spirals? And a lot of it has to do with toxic lenders who are basically scam artists and criminals who, they go out and they buy these convertible notes from desperate companies, or they, issue them debt, or they do something, and then basically it allows them to buy a huge amount of shares based on warrants or whatever for a huge discount to the market. And as they exercise these and buy these shares in tranches, they wait the very minimum amount of time they have to under their agreement, and then they just dump the shares on the market. The stock price plummets, and you might think, well, how can they benefit from keeping the stock at 55 cents and churning and dumping shares down here? Well, I mean, if you get, a huge amount of shares absolutely for free, um, that's what's going to tend to happen. Guys, take a look at July 13, Form SC13G, filed by Jaguar Health, filed by Fife, John M. And if you go over here, guys, this is where we get into this toxic lender, horrible agreements being made by CEO Lisa. Basically, she's willing to sell she doesn't even own very much of the stock. I mean, she owns a tiny bit, but she's willing to keep selling, like, 80% of the company and 90% of the company and 80% of the company again for, a couple $1 million. And she just doesn't care because she has almost no skin in the game, and she just needs to get this thing to market so she can pump it and feel like a hero. But all the while, she's just absolutely destroyed shareholder value, and that's her job as the CEO of a publicly traded company. Her primary job is, to look out for the interests of the shareholders in the company. We, supposedly us shareholders own the company, and she works for us. but it just wouldn't seem that way. It seems like she has worked for herself and she's willing to make any deal with the devil to make sure she continues to keep getting her excessive and unwarranted and absurd paycheck, which I think she makes like $700,000 a year, or she used to be an absolutely incompetent, horrible executive. Now, I know Jaguar has made some strides in terms of getting the drug to market. NAPO EU has made some strides. I know they just did submit a IND application, orphan drug application, basically in Europe. And then they joined this international cancer network. They have done a few things, a few bits of news here and there. But guys, if you look at this Schedule 13G, this guy John Fife who filed this guy is a decades long serial scam artist, violates the law, violates SEC regulations. He's in my opinion, the guy is as dirty and as crooked as anyone you could get in bed with as a small company, because you get into this toxic debt and you just get into a death spiral that you can't get out of because you keep giving away the entire company for peanuts, and then you give all these options or warrants to buy shares for a fraction of the market value. And then as those shares are dumped back onto the market, guys, what's going to happen to the stock price? And more importantly, I guess, what's going to happen to the company? Like, how do you get to market with this management strategy, which is basically just keep giving away the whole store for almost nothing over and over again to just save your own skin and kind of keep the charade running, in my opinion. But in any case, guys, they really own 9.99% of the company. You see this little scam here with John Fife and Frederick Wade. They both share the same mailing address in Chicago, um, out at East Wacker Drive. But if you look at this, John M. Fife controls all the voting, but Frederick Wade is this person who's supposed to own the shares. Like, that's basically what you see, if you read this filing. And then if you go down, you see the 1.9 million shares referenced in the Schedule 13G are issued into the name of Uptown Capital LLC, a Utah limited liability company. Uptown is wholly owned by Andersonville Capital LLC, a Delaware limited liability company. Andersonville is 99% beneficially owned by the Van Siclen Road Trust, the trust, and 1% beneficially owned by John M. Fife. The trust is managed by Frederick Wade, who serves as trustee. Also shares his address. Fife is the sole voting power of Andersonville. Wow! That's amazing. And then just click on over to Securities Lawyer 101. SEC says toxic funder John M. Fife is an unregistered dealer. And there's a lot of articles if you Google this guy. He comes out of Chicago. He has been a scam artist, in my opinion, a criminal who has somehow avoided going to prison just because, that's what these white collar guys do. They agree to a fine, they agree to stop doing what they're doing, and they get a slap on the wrist. It's like, oh, you stole millions of dollars from people, and you end up with like no jail time, no real criminal charges. But anyway, if you read this article, it's basically explains the whole scam. They fail to register as a securities dealer with the SEC and FINRA, which is what they're legally required to do. Fife has operated as what's called a toxic lender for many years. Microcap companies trading over the counter market typically have limited access to traditional financing. Desperate for cash, they sign on with financiers like Fife, who purchase securities, usually convertible promissory notes or convertible debentures. From them, the financiers charge extremely high interest, but that's the least of the client's problems. Upon conversion, the lenders enjoy a discount to market price that may be as high as 60% and higher in the event of default by the issuer. As he converts portions of his note and sells the resulting stock into the market in a series of tranches, the stock price plummets. That is why these kinds of instruments are called death spiral convertibles. Eventually, the dilution caused by the conversions may force the issuer to reverse split the company's stock. Sometimes it drives the company into bankruptcy. Toxic funders have wreaked havoc with OTC companies for decades, but they've proved difficult for the SEC to rein in. And it kind of goes along why this is so difficult to enforce, because it's like these rules, the scam artists are very clever, guys. They figure out how to violate, the law, violate the rules, but do it in such a way that once they're caught, they're not going to face any criminal sanction or prison time. It's just going to be about money, and they've probably stolen and scammed more money than they're going to have to pay back in the first place, in my opinion, with the fines. So, I mean, it is what it is, guys. You could, I don't know if CEO Lisa has Google, but she could have Googled this guy before getting into bed with him, but nobody else was going to give her any money. Like, that's the bottom. Who's going to give someone money to pay a $750,000 salary for a company with almost no revenues that loses a ton of money and has been run with a degree of incompetence and just flagrant disregard for shareholder well-being? It's crazy. But if this is, you just want money at any cost, you're willing to give away the whole company to keep getting your paycheck, keep running the scam. This is what you get into. But guys, just Google John Fife, securities scammer, Chicago, whatever. Just Google John Fife scammer, and it all comes up, guys. I mean, there's no there's no shortage of articles and on the SEC about John Fife getting sued. United States District Court, Northern District of Illinois, Eastern Division, United States Securities and Exchange Commission, plaintiff versus John Fife, Chicago Venture Partners, Iliad Research Trading, St. George Investments, Tonnequin Inc. And this is, you can see how they layer the companies to make it very, very hard to follow what's going on, make it very, very hard to enforce the law, because you have layer after layer of trusts and LLCs and corporations, and it's all basically part of a scam. From at least 2015 through the present, defendant John M. Fife and 5 entities he owns or controlled bought and sold billions of newly issued shares of microcap securities and generated millions of dollars from those sales. In doing so, Fife, who is a recidivist violator of federal securities laws and entity defendants, together with 5 defendants, have violated and continue to violate the mandatory dealer registration requirements of the federal securities law. Defendant's business model has been to buy convertible promissory notes, a type of security, from penny stock issuers, convert the notes into newly issued shares of stock, and rapidly sell those shares onto the public market for profit. During 2015 to 2019, defendants purchased more than 250 such notes from approximately 135 different microcap. Defendants demanded and received highly favorable terms. So this goes on and on, guys. Defendants operated as unregistered securities dealers and collectively generated more than $61 million in net profits. Guys, if you're a shareholder in Jaguar Health, that's your money that CEO Lisa gives to this criminal scumbag scam artist. In my opinion, evidence shows, SEC says, he is a scam artist criminal, and he is our major shareholder, and he is filing filings for Jaguar Health. He owns 10% of the company. CEO Lisa will basically give this guy anything he wants so he can run his illegal fraudulent scams and destroy shareholder value and make money for himself. It seems like, as long as she keeps getting a paycheck. Now, as far as the P3 guys, I believe we have full enrollment. I believe this drug can get to market, and I believe it can sell a lot. I believe there's something here, guys. But the problem is, next time CEO Lisa needs some money, she's just going to do anything it takes to get it, because she doesn't care about shareholders, because she's not much of a shareholder. Guys, I don't know if this even shows like the insider, if this shows the current percentage of the company. It says on May, last traded 17th of May. I don't know if this is true, but she has 0.02% of the company, 4,000 shares. Um, Guys, I don't even have hardly any shares left. Because they've been reverse split away. But I have more than that. Um, let's take a look just at the date of the last trade and just see what comes up. Yeah, Lisa Kant, president and CEO. She was probably gifted some shares. Yeah, executive vice president. He has 965 shares. A director has 1,000 shares. I mean, guys, these positions are worth like $500. I mean, give me a break. It's like, what's going on here, guys? Who's watching the store? Who's watching the store? And I think, frankly, Lisa Kant should be getting paid about $5,000 a month tops. Until this company is generating significant revenues and making money. I think the SEC should, not just be investigating John M. Fife, and, let's work on getting that guy put in prison. If law enforcement and the FBI, the SEC shouldn't be looking at these guys. The FBI should be looking at these guys because there's just, in my opinion, there's a tremendous amount of criminal fraud going on with people like Mr. Fife. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't say for sure what criminal laws, but I'm just looking at sort of the totality of the circumstance, and it looks like for almost 20 years, this guy has been running his toxic debt scams, and it's basically, I mean, fraud out in the open, perhaps legalized fraud, perhaps there is no, criminal law he's breaking beyond this not registering and doing everything sort of below board and all through all these, shell companies. But guys, the bottom line is this. Jaguar Health is currently sitting at a market cap of about $10 million, implying there's, about 20 million shares out there. John Fife controls the voting on 2 million of those, and I think he probably has a bunch of other dog shit warrants and options and notes he can exercise and just basically get an unlimited number of shares for just pennies and just keep dumping those on the market at 55 cents, and somehow he still makes money because otherwise, it just doesn't make any sense that, this stock has just been held at this level for just months and months and months. It seems like the company should either get down to zero or it should start to take off into the P3, but it's doing neither. It's just holding and churning, and I think that's because this, you know, criminal fraudster son of a bitch is just making money off of you if you're a shareholder with the assistance of CEO Lisa, so she can continue to get her outrageous paycheck, which she does not earn, in my opinion, and has not earned. And her degree of incompetence and just I don't think she operates in good faith at all. She comes out, she's like, there won't be any more dilution after this round of dilution. How can there be any more dilution? You own none of the company. Even you as the CEO, your share is basically at zero. So it's like stock award grant, you know, like you've been awarded 870 shares worth $500. Ooh, Lisa Kant was awarded 2,700 shares worth $1,700. I mean, guys, what is this bullshit? Is this a real, publicly traded company? I mean, they're just giving shares, of course, to their own people, but I'm just starting to question, how all of this stuff works with some of these. Now, I know there's a lot of penny stocks that have good CEOs, have, legitimate financing arrangements. UBX is another company I'm invested in. I have like 10 times the position I do. Like I said, my Jaguar Health position is down to almost nothing because I've been in the stock a long time. As you know, the reverse splits. I never had a large position, but with all the dilution and reverse splits and just horrible downward pressure on the stock price based on these scam artists like John M. Fife, you basically are left with nothing. You've been wiped out if you bought shares a long time ago. Your only choice now is to either dump out of the stock at this level or to, I would say, double down and buy down here and hope we can see some bump from the good catalyst if P3 data looks really good. Guys, on the day, of course, I don't even have to look. Jaguar's doing absolutely nothing on no volume. It's down a penny or 2.4%. They've traded 90,000 shares. So, in three hours of trading, you've traded like 40 grand worth of stock. So it's a joke, guys. It's just going to be, more and more explosive diarrhea all over your head. And that's what Jaguar Health does. Ticker symbol JAGX. In the game show Explosive Growth versus Explosive Diarrhea, Jaguar is diarrhea every single time. But let's hope that P3 data looks good and maybe they can turn this horrible barge of shit around. CEO Lisa, stop getting in bed with scam artists and fraudulent people just to keep getting your large paycheck that you do not earn and do not deserve. I've never seen a CEO sound more confident and sort of arrogant and about her own position and her own intellect and her own business acumen when in fact she's one of the just empirical evidence would say she's one of the worst CEOs in the history of the world. Guys, it's Jaguar Health, ticker symbol JAGX. My name's Danny Deals. The show is Un Poco Mas. The date is July 18, 2023. It's 10:30 a.m. out here in Los Angeles. Hope it's a great day wherever you are, and we will talk to you again really soon whenever we have more diarrhea for you. Bye-bye.